we are focusing very specifically on Internet of Things and Industry 4.0. And my name is Carsten Rothballer, from ICLEI Europe. We are facilitating this. I'm here also with my colleague Daniela Torres. And without further ado, I'd like now to hand over to the site manager of the city of Cologne, Julia Egenolf. Julia.
Good morning, Carsten and Daniela. Thank you very much. So yes, as you said, my name is Julia Egenolf. I'm the site manager for Cologne, and I'm also the work package lead for the topic of integrated infrastructure. So I had 2 webinars so far. The first one was introducing the topic of integrated infrastructure. The second one was going into the topic of smart posts. And as you said, thank you. This topic here now is about IoT 4.0, and would like to warmly welcome 3 speakers from Stockholm, Barcelona, and Cologne. And these are Hans Anebreid with ENVAC in Stockholm, who will tell us a little bit about smart waste management. Then we'll have Stefaniia Legostaieva with AGT, speaking about the Cologne Energy Analytics. And last but not least, we'll have Miguel Duarte with ENDESA, who will tell us about the smart energy services, all within the GrowSmarter project. So everyone for joining, and I will pass on to Hans.
I'm going to share my screen. I can't find the option, I'm afraid.
It's on the upper left-hand side.
Yeah,
you have share and then my screen.
Thanks.
And maybe you intervene here before you start, Hans.
Yes.
Everyone is welcome to send us your questions via the chat, which is on the right-hand side, and can post us. We will potentially have time to have 1 or 2 questions after each presentation, and then at the end further discussion. So, Hans, the floor is yours.
Thanks. I'm from ENVAC. We've been in the business since 1961 when we did the first installation in a hospital in Sweden. And things have changed since then. And now we are a part of the GrowSmarter project, and we have 3 measures here. They are called sorting of waste, waste collection, and waste collection statistics. Explain to you a little about what that is about. Where are we, ENVAC, in the context? You produce them in your household, and you have to get rid of them in some way. And that is the starting point for the ENVAC installation in the GrowSmarter. It's the interface between the tenant and the ENVAC system. In Vallatori, in south of Stockholm, they sort the waste in different bags. Thick bag for it's one, and then you have a white bag for the rest fraction, and you have paper packaging and plastic packaging, and they deposit all of those 4 fractions in one and the same in post. So identify themselves with a tag, and then the system will read the color of the bag, and the system will also weigh, so we know how many kilos we have of each fraction. And then everything will be stored temporarily underground, just the inlet post for a few hours. And full, we will transport everything away underground in the pipe system to the cleaning station. And in the station, which looks pretty much a normal building, we have a container and a fan. The fan creates the waste air stream to suck the waste from the inlet post to container. Container bags will end up mixed. So we have all bags in one and the same container, which makes the storage and transportation efficient. When full, we will away to a sorting facility. In the case of the GrowSmarter project, this is a problem because the sorting facility is not in Stockholm. It's located in another city, so the drive away is 1 hour. That is due to in Stockholm where they don't have a sorting facility, so we have to use the one that is closest, and that is 1 hour drive away. The container in a pocket, and then all the bags will be transported on a conveyor belt up to sorting equipment. Sorting equipment, you have cameras which can identify the color of the bag, and they will push green bags to the green container, yellow to the yellow container, and so on. And you find all the bags that have the color that you're not able to identify with the equipment, so they will go to incineration. Sorry. What I've done is that all the sorted waste from the tenants, we mix them up in the system for efficient storage. We're sorting out again with the bag sorting facility. You can use the organic waste for compost or for biogas, for instance. And packaging will be new packaging, etc. The rest will go to incineration. I'd like to mention that we have a small film on the vimeo.com. If you contact me afterwards, and I can give you the direct link and see how this works way. So the ENVAC installation is from the inlet post to the upper left, the container to the upper right. And then it is also delivered by ENVAC, but it is delivered outside of the GrowSmarter product. Other words about the challenges that we have had during the implementation phase, and we have overcome those challenges. This has been around for many years, but we have a few new parts of the system. The first is that we have a new type of inlet. We have a system to read color of bags and weigh the bags. That is something for us. That shows the new type of inlet at Vallatorg. One can serve up to 40 or 50 apartments. You can sort 4 fractions of waste, and you can see it occupies less than 1 square meter on the ground. Is pipe material. This leads to a number of challenges. We need to develop new set of joints for the pipes. The installation method is different, but all the procurement is rather different when we are having plastic pipes instead of steel pipes as we normally do. Very different there. A third new thing that is a little changing for us is that we have a new control system, and that is both hardware and software. The main part of the control system is in the collection station, as you can see on the picture, but also new components and new software in the inlet posts. So you lift off the lid of an inlet post, you will quite a bit of new technology in there. What have we done? Well, we have put in a lot of investment in the R&D to develop these new components. We have also had to add time for solid planning and coordination during the implementation phase. Had to add time for commissioning and follow-up to get this up and running in a good manner. For ENVAC, the evaluation is in a rather early phase so far. We have started to evaluate is the optical sorting in the system, where we have looked at data for weight and color of the bags. that is something that we then can compare with the situation before the implementation of the ENVAC system, but so we can compare with another city which are using a similar system. We want to know how easy the tenants think it is to recycle using our system. So we use questionnaires and interviews with the tenants to get the feedback about this. Impact from the automated waste collection. Well, we can measure driving distance. And as I mentioned before, there's a little problem that we have to drive away to another city container. However, if we adjust for that, then even though I haven't calculated this so far for actual installation at Valator, we have done this on a number of occasions before. We are pretty confident that we will reduce traffic our installation. At the bottom goes to is manual handling, where you have to take a waste truck to each and every house and pick up a waste bin. And it is a situation where you have an system going to pick up the container and then drive away. This shown on the picture is 10 times the size of Valatori, but the principle is the same. So we are pretty confident that we will succeed in this. Sure, we are very early so far, so the evaluation has not started. We are still in development phase. We need to develop a system to the test to give them feedback on how the weighting is performing. And the reason we want to do that is to increase the sorting. Then better. If they understand how it looks, then we are confident that they will improve their recycling rate. More or less manually before in other systems. Now we have access data with feedback to the users and a lot quicker than we have done before. So that's very interesting to implement. A few stakeholders who are important to us. And City of Stockholm is very important because they have the municipal responsibility to transport waste, so very, very important. Stockholm, the company who buildings, tenants who are using our system, so we talk a lot to them. It's the contractor who are a lot of the construction works on site, and they have built the collection station for us, and they are also performing a lot of coordination work. And Eskilstuna, that is where you have the sorting facilities, so we have a cooperation with them, of course, because they are taking care of the waste that we are driving them. Lut, the company bringing the truck from Stockholm to Eskilstuna. Rullpack supplying the bags, because without specific bags to the tenants, so they don't have to buy them themselves. They are included in the rent, and we provide them to them. There are a lot of sub and side contractors during the implementation phase. Conclusions. We started the evaluation, so we'll just give you a little hint about this. Use traffic, even though I haven't calculated it actually yet, but we will reduce the traffic in the area. Regarding the sorting facility, to make this work in a good manner from an environmental point of view, you will need the sorting facility a little closer than we have today. That would require investment from the city. That will probably happen in Stockholm because they are working on it. But GrowSmarter project is a little too early for this. So the sorting facility in Stockholm is not up and running. First glance at the sorting rates it's looking pretty good. Even uncertainties for it. So we have to work more on that, and also work a lot more on information to the tenants on how to use the system. and we occupy very little space for the waste handling. That is something that we have to measure and calculate, of course, but it's a typical effect of an ENVAC installation, that we reduce the space. Upscaling, this system is designed for 350 apartments. So far, we have 150 users. We have to have more users in the system before we can make a decision on the upscaling possibilities. We think it looks promising that we can make these systems on a large scale. We have to analyze it further to know exactly how that would work. Slide.
Thanks much, Hans. So, other questions, please post them. We can take one or two in chat or through the function, and maybe just to start off, I'm interested in, you mentioned it, the space reduction. Is there a plan of what the space gained would be actually then used for? So is it for car parks? Is it for greening the area? That would be interesting feature. Is there and who's planning that? Is it the city or is it
Stockholm, they are planning it, and there are a few alternatives they have. One is to make room for bikes indoors. That is one thing you can do. Another possibility is to design so you have more shops in ground level. In some cases, not in this area, but in some cases they have built apartments instead, so they can sell more apartments or rent out more apartments, which will mean an income instead of a cost.
Yeah. Thank you. This actually connects very well to my second question. I know this is a demonstration project. GrowSmarter is a demonstration project. You have hinted that you have also, ENVAC has used that also in another city, which you are then comparing your results here with. Is it price-wise competitive at the moment already, that implementing this type of system against the conventional system?
Long term, yes. Not really yet, because we have to further development on the inlet posts, because they are too expensive at the moment. But when we get a better cost situation for the inlet posts, then you will have a long-term saving compared to manual handling. You would, of course, initial investment for this. Manual handling doesn't require that much investment in the first phase, but in the long term you will save money on collection. The collection of the waste in an ENVAC system is very efficient, because one person driving one truck going to one place, instead of 2 persons going to all the houses in the area picking up all the waste bins. So the long-term benefit of it, and the vary from 3 years to 15 years, it depends a lot, but maybe 6, 7 or 8 years payback time. If the payback time is longer, then it's rather difficult to sell it actually. Okay,
and since I have received any question, my last question would be: you were mentioning the payback time, which can vary. What would be, from your perspective, economically the best city to go to replicate this solution? What infrastructure should be there or shouldn't be there? I guess an ancient city, potentially with lots of things dug underground, is not the first choice, because the payback time are longer. What other factors where you think here it makes sense for a city to look into to replicate this solution?
Well, actually, we often mention Barcelona as a good example. We have been in Barcelona for 25 years, and say we have a lot of old installations in the ground. That's true, but what happens when you get rid of all the waste bins? Then you can use the space to something else. So in Barcelona, for example, we are in the medieval part of the city. The streets are like 2 meters narrow, and dig a trench and put our pipe in the ground, which is 0.5 meter, and get rid of all the waste bins, and then you can use the area for cafes or restaurants or something attractive to tourists, which will increase income instead of increase cost. So you can do that also. The cost will, of course, be a lot higher when you have problem in the ground, but that's one part. You can go anywhere if you like. The other thing is that if you want to recycle, use a system for that, because ENVAC system won't solve the problem with the waste to take care of the packaging, for instance. What going to do with the packaging? If there's nobody to tear of the packaging to recycle them, then you have no use for an ENVAC system sorting it out. So you need the infrastructure to handle the entire from the household to the recycling facility. And the ENVAC system is just part of that. So you need more than just the pipes in the ground.
Yeah. Then thank you very much for exemplifying how actually waste management in future is pretty much more connected and how it connects with different actors. So with that, Hans, thank you. And I'd like now to hand over to Stefaniia to talk about energy analytics, generating insights from household energy data. Stefaniia is from AGT International in Cologne. Stefaniia, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. So now I will try to share my slides. Can you see my presentation?
Yes.
Yes,
if possible, maybe make it presenter mode, because we can see also the next slide coming up.
Okay, sure. Now?
Yes, thanks.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Yes, so my name is Stefaniia, and today I would like to talk about how to generate insights from the energy data. First, I would like to start with introduction about our company. So what's AGT? So AGT actually specializing in IoT and big data technologies, as well as advanced analytics. We have worked in areas such as manufacturing, smart city, sports, traffic management, and so on and so forth. And as part of GrowSmarter project, we actually want to reduce energy consumption in private sector, and our solution includes generating insights from smart plugs, from energy data that you can extract via smart plugs. So today I'd like to talk about our system that we developed, also the dashboard, as well as services that we think that they will help to increase energy awareness of tenants. So basically, to be able to connect to our system, first of all, you need to have smart plugs installed in your house, as well as gateway. And we're using home gateway, basically to be able to access the data from smart plugs. So smart plugs, you can connect any home appliance that can be connected via an outlet, via a plug. Our system provides you the possibility to collect real-time data, process, and or to execute analytics on top of that in order to generate these insights that can later on see in our dashboard. Have some technical. And our dashboard, it's actually a web-based application that you can use from your desktop as well as mobile phone. So it was deployed, and it's You can access it from any web browser, and our solution actually is scalable up to 10,000 households. So, and services within gonna help our tenants to increase their energy awareness. So it's kind of very common metric. It's to see the aggregated energy consumption, for example, per week, per month, per year. So each appliance, you can access this information via our dashboard. It's kind of very common metric that you usually can see in different smart home applications. So, but we think that actually one more metric can be very valuable to actually understand better energy consumption and actually how much money it costs you. So if you will calculate the cost of your energy, right? So if that produced this metric, so how much euros you spend daily basis, on a weekly basis for each device. But actually, the next step actually to better understand your energy consumption would be not to the aggregated view, but to go deeper and to understand, okay, how much energy actually I could consume per each usage. So, for example, how much energy and for how long I was using my device and how much it costs me. So, and it's actually valuable for such devices as dishwasher because it can run in different modes. So you have usually a regular, eco, and fast mode. And usually know how much energy it consumes actually. Like, is it more beneficial to use your dishwasher always in an eco mode, or it's still okay to use it in a fast mode because the normal consumer, he doesn't know how, like, the difference between these two modes in terms of energy consumption. Therefore, by providing these metrics, end user can actually better understand, okay, how much money and energy I saved basically by using my dishwasher in eco mode. Actually, the end user, he can switch devices, right? So you just plug a home appliance via the smart plug, but sometimes you want to switch your appliance and to connect it to different smart plugs, or opposite, you want to connect different home appliance to a smart plug. And therefore, it's very important to actually be able to detect what kind of device it's connected in terms of usability, and actually to provide insights to be able to compare the same type, right? So if I switch dishwasher from one plug to another, so I still want to have this comparison for each device type. So other slide that we believe it's very helpful, it's to understand, okay, if my device is actually running normally, or maybe it's already too old, and because of that it consumes much energy. Or, for example, do I use my device in a normal way? So what I mean about that, it's, for example, I forgot to close the fridge door, right? And I'm wasting some energy because of that. And now I'd like to say a few words about our approach. It's more data-driven, not rule-based. And what I mean by that, it's actually that first we need to collect some data. For example, if we want to detect what kind of device connected to the smart plugs, right? So we have to understand, okay, that different devices, they have different usage signatures. As these usage signatures, you can actually distinguish between these devices. But it is also tricky because some devices, they have similar the signatures, and therefore, in order to build an accurate model of the device type model, you also need to collect, first of all, a lot of data, a lot of examples of different device type, and therefore, by including this user feedback loop into the application itself, and the user can provide you feedback about, okay, what kind of device connected to my smart plugs, you can actually increase quite a lot the performance of our model and provide usability of your application. And now I would like to show you a small demo of our dashboard so that you feel in what it looks like and what kind of metrics included already. So you have a standard main page of your application. You have also possibilities to switch languages. Then you can log in with your credentials to our dashboard, and then you can see information about connected devices, so the device that you connect via smart plugs. So I can show you the two devices, microwave and coffee machine, and it's connected currently in our office at AGT. And you can see that over time the energy consumption as well as proportion. You can also see the information about microwave, real-time energy consumption. You can also have a detailed view where you see aggregated information daily, weekly, monthly, and yearly. You can also switch between different devices and another metric that we can see, it's these usages that I just talked about, where you can see how many times you use a microwave and how much energy it consumes per each use. Now we can see the coffee machine. So we're actually using it quite a lot here in the office. And you can see also the number of usages per day and also per month. You can also see that it has like this spikes during the working hours here, and during weekend we are not using coffee machine because we are not in the office. That's it from the demo, and thank you very much. And if you have any questions, I would be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Stefaniia. So the floor is again open for everyone to post a question via the chat function.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe since I have received yet one, Stefaniia, could you tell us what are your expectations in terms of energy savings and CO2 savings potentially as well in a concrete case? So what is the range that should expect while using smart plugs?
Okay, I don't have exact metrics now, evaluation, but we expect that by introducing these metrics, actually the tenants, they can understand, okay, where I spend the most energy on which devices, and maybe by understanding this information, then the person realizes, okay, maybe it's better to use my dishwasher in an eco mode because my fast mode actually consuming like triple. By understanding that, then you can say, okay, I will use my dishwasher like every time in an eco mode, even though it takes me 3 hours, but I can plan it in advance, and by that saving quite some energy. So by this like increased awareness of the end users, you can actually achieve these things in terms of energy as well. And if, for example, we would include such metrics in any smart home solution, then we can say, okay, we not only automate our home, but we can also make it energy friendly. Thank you.
Okay, there is one question concerning the costs of that system which you presented, and if it is already on the market.
So our dashboard, it's still a prototype, so we release it only within the Cologne area for this specific target group, as we are running our experiment for. But in terms of cost, so the main cost, it's of course smart plugs and also the gateway that actually allows you to access the data from the smart plugs. And so therefore, it really depends on the price of the smart plug. And it's not
can
our
you
solution.
give us an idea how much does a smart plug cost? And
Sure. So on average, the smart plug costs 50 euros. So you can also find a cheaper solution or more expensive. So it depends also on the functionality and the quality of the smart plug itself. Therefore, it depends on the smart plug itself, but also the plug provides you this possibility to control your device, right, and to be able to switch it off remotely. that it's also quite helpful in terms of be able to control your device from your mobile phone or from web browser.
Thanks. And there is another question concerning the feedback of users, which is kind of highly important, I guess, in order to make the system efficient to really benefit from implementing such a system. So any evaluation about that you have already in terms of user feedback? What is the mode people use the control options, and indeed how much would they? So how is the interaction in general?
Okay, currently we don't have so many users that we could properly evaluate. Therefore, it's very important to actually be able to attract as many people as possible in order to be able actually to gather these feedbacks from the user in order to improve our application. Therefore, it's this feedback loop basically in our application, but still need more time and more users to be able to efficiently and accurately evaluate these measurements.
Thank you very much. Then we look forward to receive further information from you. Also for everyone to know, this webinar is recorded and will be provided to you. So you have all the information here also available already now, but also in terms of GrowSmarter, and GrowSmarter goes until the end of next year with more information produced on the evaluation of the different types of solutions. So here you can look forward also to receive further information in that sense. Having said that, it's also a wonderful bridge now to head over to Miguel Duarte from ENDESA, based in Barcelona, to talk about smart energy services. Miguel.
Okay, I'm going to share my screen.
Thank you. Yes.
Okay. Well, good morning to all, and thank you for joining this webinar. My name is Miguel Duarte. I work in New Technologies and Innovation Department of ENDESA, and I'm going to talk you about a smart energy service in the GrowSmarter project. First of all, I want to do a brief introduction of what is IoT and what we understand by IoT in the energy sector. For us, Internet of Things is a concept that refers to the interconnection of an object with the internet. For us in ENDESA, it's very important to use this Internet of Things to new solutions in order to improve the digitalization of our own network. Here we can read a paragraph from Kevin Ashton, who is considered the father or the creator of Internet of Things, and here that our economy society is based on things. We the information and the knowledge about the thing. From the view of ENDESA, these things are own installation, primary or secondary substation. And in the GrowSmarter period, in our measure from ENDESA, we are using different connected devices for Internet of Things to collect all this data and improve the quality of our network. IoT work. Well, this is a brief introduction of the architecture of IoT, but in a very simple way, because I'm not an expert. We need our connected devices, for example, our smartphone or sensors that we have installed in our secondary substations, and we need the net technologies. It is very, very important, and the communication network to connect with the IoT platform. We have a backend where we can see all the data that we are collecting 5 secondary substations, and this is very useful in order to improve our own network. And finally, we have a application that we can see the results and the scores of sensors. Let's talk about the communications. There are different types of communication, but I want to talk all about three of them. The first is LoRa communications, that for us is the most important because in our measure we develop our own network with 5 secondary substations connect with one LoRa gateway. The LoRa network allows the interconnection between intelligent objects without the need of complex local installation. The LoRa network architecture is a network of stars, and the first star is formed by the final devices and the gateway, and the second star is formed by the gateway and the network server. In this case, the link gates are transparent bridge between the in-device and the central network server. It's a very simply communication, and it's easy to implement because the LoRa node is cheap, and the LoRa gateway can connect more or less 10 or 15 LoRa nodes, so you have the opportunity to create a LoRa network in a very simple way. All kind of communication could be the narrowband. The advantage of narrowband, you do billions of connections. It's a very low cost solution, and the power is plus 10 years. But for me, in ENDESA, we are more interested in the LoRa communication. And the third solution could be the Sigfox, when we have an IoT device connected to Sigfox, and we can visualize and analyze in a dashboard all the data that the IoT devices are collecting. This is for me, how does IoT work? Data management is very important because although we can use the terms of the concept about data and information, and they are totally different. Data for us be any character, text, or word, and that means that there is the human, but information is the data formatted in a manner that allows to utilize by a human in a significant way. And this is the more important thing. We need the information about the data. Industry 4.0, here we can see different technologies that we are using into our own network, and try to digitalize our own network. We use robots and drones, also classes. But in the GrowSmarter project, we are using sensor, for example, temperature or environmental sensor. We measure the oxygen and flow in the eye, and this is very useful also for other stakeholders, for example, the Council of Barcelona, because if we provide them the concentration and the percent of oxygen CO in the air, they can solve this problem, and is also for the quality of life of the citizens in Barcelona. And finally, I want to talk about the GrowSmarter project, and the partners and from ENDESA working in the areas of integrated infrastructure, smart street lighting, and our measure is this 5.3, and we call them smart information analysis and actuators. As I said before, we're very interested in LoRa communication, so we have developed a LoRa network with 5 LoRa nodes, and they are installed in 5 secondary substations, and we have one LoRa gateway in one primary substation. these 5 secondary substations, we have installed sensors of different types. For example, fluid, fire, oxygen, humidity, temperature, and also sensors, electrical sensor, voltage and current. We have our 5 LoRa nodes connected to the LoRa gateway in our operation, and we send all this data to ENDESA system and after to the GrowSmarter platform. We can see our architecture about our solution. We can divide it in 3 main levels. At the first level, we have all these sensors, for example, fluiding, intrusion, smoke, temperature, and we connect all of them to the LoRa node. And this action occurs in the 5 secondary substations. These 5 LoRa nodes in the second level are connected to a gateway allocated in the primary substation, and with the router and 4G, we send all the data to the ENDESA system. After we collect in our database that is called PA, and after we get it in Amazon Web Services, and with another company subcontracting with the data to the GrowSmarter platform. With all this sensor, we receive the signal in our system and the knowledge about the state of our installations. We can react before the alarms or dangers that occur. And it is very useful to reducing the time of interruption of energy supply and that this is for us. Here we can see this is our data more or less. With information that we can draw different graphs, for example, temperature or relative humidity. In the case of temperature, for example, is between 24 and 18 degrees. These values are normal, but if we are receiving data out of control, we can send a worker or a brigade to the secondary substation, and he can solve this problem in the secondary substation and do the tasks necessary. And the same with the relativity humidity. We have the opportunity to monitoring the installation from ENDESA. And also we have developed a mobile application for ENDESA workers, and they one of the 5 secondary substations that we have in our measure. If they scan a QR code on NFC, they can log on in this application, and they could see the status of the sensor that we have in this, and this is for us a very good option to the status of the installation. Although we have a camera with a Wi-Fi point, so when the worker goes to the application, he can see the inside of installation from the street, and also is a good solution to improve the digitalization process that we are doing from ENDESA. That's all for today. Thank you very much, and if you have any question, please tell me.
Thank you very much, Miguel, for this slide on the solution that ENDESA is providing in Barcelona on smart energy services. There was a question on how much energy is then actually reduced through the smart meter information analysis and then steering. So what is the range of energy reduction, CO2 reduction here?
It's difficult to say the reduction of energy, but we are collecting the data about how we reduce the energy supply, and this is about I don't know the data exactly, but this a very big reduction because we are detecting the answer and we send the workers to the station and they are solving the problems quickly. But reduction of the energy currently are not meet this parameter.
Measure and evaluate it then?
Is a solution we could do. This is very interesting to measure the of energy. Now we can measure the time. But energy, I think, is possible, and we should ask to our colleagues that can measure this.
Okay. Another issue in relation or clarification needed in terms of where does the energy, the major part of the energy reduction result from? You mentioned it relates to beforehand when an incident is happening. So is it rather energy efficiency related to already installed infrastructure, or is also linked to uptake of renewable energy that potentially is fluctuating in terms of supplies?
Fluctuating depending of the supply, but it's very difficult to. But I think that the majority is fluctuating depending on the supply.
Okay, I would like to now open to all panelists, including Julia, here, signature of the city of Cologne, a broad discussion at the end in terms of first of all the requirements for scaling up these four solutions introduced. So maybe each one of the panelists could react to that, to the question of how to replicate and how to scale up the solutions that you have introduced in Europe. What are potential framework conditions that a city or a government would need to have in place in order to set it up? In potentially also interesting because we have different types of cities, also part of the city group, but also the city interest group, which come from different sites throughout entire Europe. So maybe you can also give a geographical indication of where this type of technology would be best to be rolled out, east, south, west, central, if you're able to comment on this. So the first to Hans.
Yes, when it comes to upscaling in a general term, we have systems that's maybe 10 or 12,000 apartments. So we know how to build big systems, but there are some extra challenges when it comes to the colored bags because we have to keep them intact. Normally we compact the waste, but we have not tested yet. So we're not exactly sure on how to scale the system itself from a technical point of view. So we will solve any issues that will come up, but so far we don't really know. But offices for ENVAC, we have offices in Scandinavia, in the western part of Europe. We have the agents in some countries in the east, like Poland and Russia, and the Baltic cities. It has not worked so far for us. So more or less Scandinavia, France, Spain, Italy, and UK, and Portugal we have an office since many years. So we are spread all over the West western part of Europe, but not that much in the eastern part. We have one installation in Czech Republic, but the market didn't grow as expected, so it wasn't there anymore.
Stefaniia.
Yes, so first of all, I would like to say in terms of the technical possibilities of our system to scale up. So actually it's not an issue for us. The system is scalable. So the only condition for scaling it up is just to add additional hardware or to buy extra services from AWS, because our system deployed on AWS. In terms of the installation, so of course we need more people who are interested. Therefore, if we have more people that are interested in using our solution, that we are not bounded to any amount, basically. In terms of the system requirements, but I would like to mention that if we want to reduce energy consumption a bit more intensively, then we have to think about different tariffs that we can provide to people. Maybe that would be more dynamic, and then we can optimize the energy consumption also by combining it with our metrics. So basically when the end user use his device, or to provide some recommendations. Thank you.
Thanks too. Gail.
Thank you. For us, it's possible to scaling up this solution, but main issue is the cost, the implementation, because we have a lot of installation in Spain from ENDESA, around one secondary substation, is very expensive. Maybe a solution could be select the main solution where we should install the sensor and put a node to collect the data sent to the system. But I think it could be better for us to scaling up and get more information about our own secondary substations.
Okay, then I would like to ask the question if what related to the framework conditions which I mentioned, what do you need from the city in order to scale things up? And maybe then I would also hear the opinion of Julia from the city of Cologne, her reflection of what our expectation from industry. With problems to solve immediately, or how is the interaction with then the industry on matter Internet of Things and Industry 4.0?
Difficult, or could be create the network, because we are in a urban area and we find different obstacles to avoid. For example, the buildings or some narrow street will be an us to communicate the node with the gateway. For example, in one secondary substation in our measure, we need a load to communicate with the system. For city framework, this will be the main issue, but is easy to solve.
Okay, thank you. Julia, what is having heard about these three solutions? One solution is also implemented in Cologne, but the others two not yet. So what from the city perspective, what is the process of industry to connect to a city better? What are your expectations in order then to uptake solutions that are now tested in various cities in Europe?
Thank you, Karsten, and thank you to all the speakers, first of all, for presentations. It's been very good to see the overview like that, too. So within the city, I think what's important is to more of the cross-linking of the different silos we're working in, and that has been a topic for long, of course, already, but especially within cities such as Cologne, which are quite large, with, I think, 19,000 people working within the city. It takes time. It takes time to break the silos, and I'm not saying silos are bad, because we do need the expertises and the different various topics of the issues that need to be dealt with within the cities, but we need to have a linking between the silos. And I think that is what we're doing with this project as one of the projects, and that's a task. We're helping facilitate the networking in between the different parties that all have various views on the different topics, why certain things make sense for them or don't make sense for them, but for some. So I know that, for example, talks with ENVAC have happened with Cologne, and I'm happy to help facilitate more of this, because one of the focuses we want to have in Cologne is, for example, along more of this neighborhood development, such as in the Stegerwaldsiedlung in Cologne, where we have been implementing the GrowSmarter measure. So, and I think something like the waste management, for example, like Hans was explaining, is something that has potential in areas, then can grow larger areas. First, maybe small areas, and then larger areas that can be connected. Putting the floor for something like that, providing the possibility for people to interact, connecting, networking, I think is one of the main important parts that cities can help with.
And maybe also to comment on this, I believe it is extremely important for a city to have a strategy in place in order to select specific demolition projects that are evaluated against certain criteria in order to either just purely test innovation, or to link to social or environmental, economic targets that a city has. So how is the digitalization strategy actually should be set up in order to make the different types of technology, advanced technology projects and solutions here all come together? What is your recommendation to other cities in order to organize this process?
I think that's a difficult question, and I think we have, within this project, realized that digital strategy is really necessary. I think it's been floating around. It's nothing that's very tangible. It's difficult to grasp. And I think we're really there where we're realizing that we need a strategy, and are working on it. They're in the middle of working on that and on a strategy of how to link all these pieces and parts together. So I can't give you the answer yet, but I'm hoping to be further in a year.
Good, thank you. We have another question in regards to the citizens being exposed or being very open to receive this technology. This is a question for all the panelists here. So how has your technology been received, either from your perspective as an industry partner providing the solution, trying to sell the solution for users to use it and to provide feedback, as well as then from the city perspective, are the citizens complaining? Are they open? Are they how do they uptake this type of very sophisticated technology?
They start summarizing, and then people can go into detail, if I may. I think from what we heard, Hans has spoken about the waste management in Stockholm, and it sounds like that's been taken really well. People have been doing correctly and using the system, but you should maybe tell us more about that. And then regarding the solution Stefaniia explained, that's been very, very slow, but that we have very few people who are taking on the solution, who are accepting the idea of the combination of smart home and smart plugs. because, and we are understanding more now that it may be because the area we're working in is at least 50% people who need financial help. So I think people like that have many other issues to deal with in life than extra systems in their house, which might sound sad, but I think what there is to do more education and more information so that one doesn't just have access to it, because these people do have access to the system, but also understand what it could do for them. Very important in the work for us as a city and also for company, for everyone. And regarding Miguel's topic, I think that's something that citizens may not be quite so in touch with. And as far as I understand, it's a little bit difficult to replicate elsewhere because the way energy providers are set up in cities is different everywhere. But maybe all three could go into detail for information.
Thank you. And now open to the three panelists process to react, complement.
So I can just make a couple of brief comments about that. I would say we have had mixed reactions from the users. Most are pretty neutral. Few are very happy that there is something happening and it makes it easier to recycle, etc., and they like technology. And a few are rather negative, but I have interviewed a couple of the users and understand why they're negative, and we failed to some extent with information on how to use the inlet. So that is something that we are working on. But there's a bigger issue, and that is that our system is only one new technology for the tenants. They have so many new things. They have left their apartments for over a year for refurbishment. They have lived somewhere else, forced out of their apartments, and when they come back, there are a lot of new solutions in their homes. The system is just one, and there have been problems with the technology to both, but also for the building itself. It has been cold during the winter, the ventilation didn't work as expected, etc. So people who are negative, it's just too much for them, I think. So it's not that the new technologies itself, it's just that too much have not worked as expected. So we try to understand what we can do and try to improve from there, and hopefully it will be better as we go along.
Thank you. Stefaniia?
Yes, thank you. So yes, I would like to also complement what Julia said regarding the citizens' interest, like in particular the tenants of this area that we selected for an experiment. So we had actually multiple events with the tenants organized by our partner, energy provider Rhine Energy. And actually that some people, they're just afraid of new technologies, or they cannot understand these new technologies, and therefore I think it's very important to be able to explain them what is the benefits of this system and how to use it, and that it's actually value for them. So it's one part, and another one, it's actually that I would say younger people are more technology eager, and we could also observe that the majority of the tenants from this area, they are worker class, and also they're a bit older in terms of age, and therefore it can be also something that we have to take into consideration, because all these new technologies, smart home technologies, I mean, they require a user to be able to use the system, right? And therefore they have to know how to use an application, how to go into the website, log in, navigate through the system, and therefore I think it's very important to educate the tenants or our citizens how to use this technology, because also, as Hans mentioned, there are so many technologies new coming all within the project, GrowSmarter project, that it might be too overwhelmed for the citizens. Thank you.
So, anything to add here?
Thank you. I suppose that the citizens are open to this solution, but it's very difficult for us to get the feedback. We want to interruption of energy supply, so that for the citizen is a good solution, but don't see all the technology that we are installing, and they don't know how the LoRa system is, or what. So are we installing a secondary substation, but the opportunity to have and every time the energy supply is in their condition. Is the objective for us to supply the energy in their conditions.
Great. That I would like now hand over to Gia for any final takeaways you would like to highlight. You find important here to mention again, or potentially to touch upon the last issue which was mentioned. How does a city actually then should be dealing with the issue of education, digital education for its citizens to be prepared for IoT and Industry 4.0. Julia, the floor is yours, and thank you very much already.
Thanks, then, also for facilitating this webinar and for guiding us through. This has been great. I hope it's been helpful for everyone. I'd like to thank again all the speakers. I think it's been a good mix. This work package of integrated infrastructure includes a lot of different topics. So sometimes they don't all seem to relate, but it seems like the common relating element is the capture of all the data and what we do with it. So I think we'll learn more as we go along and as we get more evaluation data. We've just started with all of that. And we hope to explain more as we go. Now, I think in terms of education, we are already doing a great deal. Like Stefaniia said, we have been having events and such in Stegerwaldsiedlung, and of course schools are doing a lot, etc. But as a city, we also, for the community who's already into it, we organize hackathons, and there's a big data community or open data community that can use all kinds of data that is presented to them. But of course, those are people who are already into this topic. Now, the others, we will need to keep along with events and education within schools. But of course, there's a lot more to say to that, but I don't think we have time, and I'm not necessarily the education expert either. But I think we should keep exchanging thoughts and understand what we're doing in the different cities, and therefore learn from each other. So I'm glad we've been able to have this webinar. Please let us know your comments afterwards as well. Feel free to send emails and explain your thoughts or comments as well. Thank you, Karsten, everyone else.
Thank you, everyone, also from our side, ICLEI Europe, Delena and me. So have a great day, and work on the solutions in your cities. If you don't have them yet, please explore further by subscribing to our newsletter and attending our next GrowSmarter webinar. Goodbye. Nice.